Slowly but surely, all the top-ranking StarCraft 2 players in the world are switching over to the public test realm, and the reason is very simple. Yes, the new patch, it's changing a lot of things up. Yes, there may be some issues on the SC2 PTR, but tournaments are now taking place there. This particular one, for example, this particular best of 3, it's from the Monday Night Weekly with $1,000 on the line, and this entire tournament, it's taken place on the brand new StarCraft 2 balance patch. So starting right here in the upper right hand corner in game number 1 on the map White Rabbit, playing in red from South Korea, we have Classic, one of the world's very best Protoss players of all time. This man is an absolute legend. Likewise, his opponent, one of the all-time greats from Europe, playing in blue, we have none other than Lambo. And Lambo apparently has decided to start off with a good old 12 pool. Alright, now it's kind of ironic, we obviously have reduced the worker count down to 8, and I have yet to really see anybody truly make use of the lowered worker count. It seems like the majority of the games are starting off with both players just going, well, back up to 12 workers before the game truly begins. But either way, Classic did send out a pretty quick probe scout, and he is going to figure out that indeed it's not a hatchery first, although... yeah, judging by the timing of that drone alone, even though all the timings are indeed a little different, I think he will be able to pick up on the fact that this is very likely a pool first. Kind of depends though. It kind of depends on when Zergs are actually deciding on taking their normal low ground expansion, right? I mean, yeah, we may make the assumption that the norm is to build it right around 16 or 17 supply, but is that really the most efficient way to play? And that is one of the things... ooh. Almost a probe snipe here. That is one of the things that Lambo will be extremely good at figuring out. Lambo is a very methodical player. They call him the professor. So in a weird way, like this can be considered kind of insulting, as we do have the links. I think they will be able to force the cancel. There we go. This can be kind of like an honor or an insult. Kind of depends on your perspective, I suppose. But they call Lambo the professor. Oftentimes, he is the one that figures out what the best strategies on a new patch are. He figures out what the best build orders, the best late game unit compositions. He figures out how the game is supposed to be played. And then usually we have guys like Cyril that then execute and win everything. Yeah, is that a compliment? Is that an insult? I don't really know. He's also famously coached a bunch of the very highest ranking players in the world, like for example Raynor at, for example, Gamers 8, who Raynor ended up winning. So it's, yeah, Lambo really is a very good player. And he is certainly somebody to look out for when a new patch like, for example, this one arrives. So how do you proceed right now as Classic? Keep in mind, of course, that the Warp Gate research has moved from the cybernetics core onto the gateway itself. It does mean that indeed, apparently with the 12 pool start here, we have ourselves a double gateway approach as well from Classic. Did he really need to go double gate? I wonder if he could have actually just gone into the Nexus here a little bit quicker by delaying that gateway. Maybe a couple of the Zerglings would have gotten in. I guess it's still very useful though, just because of this research, to have that second gateway down early. But did Classic make the right response, right? Is this actually the way to play? He's purposely leaving a little bit of space over there inside of that wall off. Adepts here are going to be moving across right now. We don't have any additional production right now outside of the Warp Gate research in those two gates. So I think Classic probably could have gotten away with just a single gate for defense. The question is always, though, as well as a Protoss, right? Like, how committed is Zerg really going to be? You did not quite see exactly what's going on inside of the main base there of the Zerg. Like, is this a very quick Zergling rush? Did Lambo go for a quick metabolic boost research? There's all these questions going through your mind. And while all of the standard defense has been figured out for the most part on, well, the quote-unquote old patch, I guess is what I can now call it. I mean, even though this patch is not yet finalized, all of the standard responses have been decided on. So normally against a 12 pool, you wouldn't necessarily go double gate. But yeah, is that still true? Is all of that still true on the brand new patch as well? Really hard to say. Either way, it is a Nexus on the low ground eventually for Classic, and we've got ourselves a Stargate right now on the back of this too. Okay, he does indeed need to get a little bit more supply out, but apparently a pylon just now finishing up in time, or I guess actually that was the Nexus there finishing up in time. We're going to be able to get that Oracle down, and Lambo has decided to go into a third hatchery of his own. Let me actually go ahead and flip the scoreboard there, and as well as the production tab. One of my caster pet peeves is having those upside down, even though there is no right side up. But in my mind, the player that spawns in the top of the map needs to be spawning at the top of the scoreboard over here too. Now this is nice here for Lambo. Even though it's a little bit derpy because that probe is doing a bit of body blocking. Since the Oracle is not yet available, okay, it does pop out in time. I thought actually as well, together with Lambo apparently, that he was going to be able to get the damage done. But I think Proby is sacrificing himself valiantly there. Bought just enough time for both of the Adepts as well to survive. Okay. It's all those little interactions, man. Like, I know I really keep hammering on it, but StarCraft 2 really is just like a culmination, like high-level StarCraft is just a culmination of all those little things. And all those little things are now slightly differently timed. So you really have to go back to basics and figure out what the correct response is in many of the scenarios, right? And there are so many unique interactions, so many old builds that may be considered quite suboptimal in, well, I guess the live meta of the game that are going to be once more up for debate. For example, Lambo did make the 2 or the 3 Spore Crawlers even here pretty early on. Could he have delayed them a little bit longer? It's so common for us to see players delay their Spore Crawlers until the absolute last possible moment. It obviously means, ooh, we're going for what seems to be a Zerg all-in. I think that's really the only reason why we would be going Nematized Carapace here. I think we're going to be loading the units into a bunch of dropper lords here, and we're going to be sending them across the map. This is another thing, man. Like, I am not sure that the Blink follow-up is actually the correct play. Because Warp Gates now cost 50 minerals and 50 gas for each individual gateway, I don't know if the Blink Stalker follow-up is actually the best. Yeah, we're gonna go up to 5 we're going up to 6 gateways here on the back of this. So Classic is spending the money now to transform those gateways into warp gates. I actually don't think it is the way you're supposed to be playing it, because now you're gonna have substantially less resources available. We're also going Quick Storm. This is dangerous for Classic. The Zerg is just about ready to go for an attack across the map. The ladies are loading up in their private jet. That's 4 queens going on an adventure. And it looks like the German Autobahn strategy from the good old days may just be making a return once more. Lambo sending indeed a bunch of overlords across the map. Are we actually using them to create a path of creep? No, I think we're just sending them forward over here to drop creep right on top of the high ground. Storm is not yet available. We don't really have any High Templar with energy yet either. There's going to be 1 council there on a Ravager, but this is honestly a scary attack from Lambo. An all-in that we have seen quite a bit, but not so much lately. It may just be back on the menu. Let's see though, because I've been surprised by the strength of the Protoss units on the new patch over the last couple of weeks before, where I think that Zerg is just going to overwhelm it, and I turn out to be a bit of a fool as I'm casting the game. I mean, Storm is going to be done, but it's such a big investment. It's the same right now for Blink. Blink is done, very, very soon anyways, but is it actually the right call? Yeah, here's Lambo just flooding the map with stuff Classic has no way to hold. So that was truly a very important game. I've been wondering about that exact interaction for a while. Classic opening up with a very normal start, right? Like, that is the type of build that we've been seeing from Protoss time and time again. Obviously, there was a little bit of a curveball with the 12-pool opener, but I don't think the Zerg really got a significant advantage there. Like, maybe Protoss put themselves behind a tiny little bit unnecessarily with the second gate, but I think it can be forgiven. Anyhow, Classic following it up with Oracles and then Blink Stalkers, and it did not work at all. Like, that wasn't even particularly close. So that means, I'm pretty sure anyways, what it means, obviously my sample size of games here is pretty small, but I think it means that Protoss has to figure out a brand new meta against Zerg. What is the go-to for Protoss against Zerg going to be? If Classic does the exact same build again, I would not be surprised at all if Lambo, apparently one of the observers lagged out, if Lambo decides to just go for the exact same push once more too. We could be looking at a very quick 2-0 victory here for the German Zerg. So let's think about it. What should you do as Protoss? I think the Oracle opener is still good, although obviously the timings are all a little bit different, but maybe the follow-up should not be Blink Stalkers. Maybe the follow-up should be Charge, or maybe the follow-up should be, instead of a Twilight Council, or Robo Facility. Maybe you can get some Immortal production going early. Maybe you can go Archon drops on the back of it. There's a bunch of different varieties, but I don't think that Blink Stalkers are going to be as powerful if the game is progressing in the way that it seems to at the moment. Now, I may be entirely wrong. You can quote me on it in a couple months' time. You can poke and laugh at me, okay? Just point and laugh at me whenever you realize I was an idiot all along. Those are pretty significant odds as well. You never quite know with a game like StarCraft because there's so many moving parts. But I'm pretty sure that oracles into Blink Stalkers are just no longer really viable because of the gateway change. But maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe we just have to see the build orders a little bit more refined. Maybe we need to see a little bit more scouting as well to figure out if Zerg is indeed going for a push like the one that we just saw. But I do believe, though, if you're a ladder hero right now and you're playing on the PTR, that particular strategy from Lambo is certainly a bit of a banger. Now, by the way, I'm trying to not really... Usually I have like a bunch of videos prepared in advance, but at the moment I'm not really making that many videos in advance. Mostly because I think I have like one. No, I have today's video ready to go and then tomorrow's one as well. Although I think I'm actually going to be posting this video tomorrow instead. I have a really good series between Solar and Beyond, but that's on the current live version of the patch. Anyhow, my concern is that if I make too many videos in advance, that Blizzard updates the PTR and I still have a bunch of like old PTR casts ready to go live. That would also be a little bit silly. Then again, Blizzard hasn't really been too communicative, which is a bit unfortunate. Not gonna lie, yeah. It's actually been radio silence from Blizzard ever since this PTR patch has gone up, which is a little bit worrisome, not gonna lie, because these changes, I mean, even if they all do go through somehow, some way, they are gonna require, I think at the very least, a little bit of follow-up refinement. And one of my big concerns whenever Blizzard announces big changes, especially modern-day Blizzard, is just the fact that they're not gonna be updating or having their finger on the pulse, particularly shortly, right? Like, you have to be paying attention here as the developer, because you may run into issues that need to be resolved within a matter of days, not in, like, a matter of months, which seems to be the timeline we're talking about lately. Anyhow, so 2 Adepts do show up. Nice Evo Chamber block. Oh, we're not canceling the Evo Chamber yet. Yeah, I was gonna say, we need to be able to run away. That's 1 drone, 2 drones. Not bad right here for Classic. He is gonna lose those units, though. Yeah, 3 drones in total is kind of sweet. We do have an Oracle just about to pop out. Classic is gonna try and now leverage his way into a 3rd base as well. Zergling counterattack, but this many Zerglings combined with 3 workers killed? Oh wow, Classic a little bit trigger happy there with the Pulsar Beam on that Oracle. I don't think he really needed to do that yet. Yeah, he's not yet deactivated it, so you may as well get another couple links. Alright. I think this is fine for Classic. This is gonna give him a nice economic advantage here early on. And it will definitely, yeah, make all of this very safe for the South Korean Protoss player here. Spore Crawler's coming up. I think what Classic wants to do, at least in the previous game was any indicator, is have 2 Oracles out anyways before he commits to any real aggression. Obviously, he lost the Adepts. Yeah, so he can't really... Lambo is trying to get the Pulsar Beam to activate. There we go. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, it's a lot of dead Zerglings, but also a bunch of wasted energy now on those Oracles. So not the end of the world. We're going Twilight Council again. Really, Classic. So Classic apparently not really making any changes from the previous game. Just going Twilight Council in a Forge yet again. Now, this is Winter Madness. I would say it's a slightly more defendable map, especially if Zerg comes in from the ramp over here, but usually a big drop will head on over towards the top of the 3rd base. And I think already this will be something that's going through Lambo's mind yet again. Ah, we have charts this time around. Okay. What in the world was that? Did you see that? What is this? Oh, that's a bug! Dude, that's the Twilight Council researching. I know the Twilight Council is supposed to have a new little animation. This one, for some reason, is about a half screen length too high. Wait a second, what? I think that little visual doodad is supposed to be over here. Or maybe like at the top of these 3 pillars. Alright, anyways. I'm hoping secretly we're going to be seeing the Pneumatized Carapace upgrade coming up here for Lambo. I don't think we're going to, though. Now, it's going to be Roaches here. What about like a Roach Hydra attack? We once more, by the way, have the good old Templar archives here coming up too. Robo facility on the back of this as well. So Classic really just opting into a much more defensive game this time around. Another thing I would like to see from Zerg is a Microbial Shroud timing attack. Ooh. Pneumatized Carapace. Maybe we are sending the ladies in a little private jet once more. Yeah, it's a bit of a different timing this time. So we're going into Roach speed, but this is going to hit later in the game. So this is a slightly larger economy for Zerg, slightly larger economy for Protoss. More importantly, though, I think here for Classic is that it's going to give him way more time. So he definitely will be able to finish Charge, and then very likely Storm as well. My god, that little... so weird. Why would that graphic just be too high up? I don't know. Anyways, it's going to give him Storm done by the time that this Zerg army is ready to go across. Seems like the ladies are going on a little stroll. Where's your plane, ladies? Hey, Brenda, where's your private jet? Oh, yo. It's an Overlord push. Look at that. One of the Oracles dies. Big mistake there, actually, for Classic. Yeah, we are sending... This is the good old highway, the German Autobahn. It's a build order that Lambo famously played some years ago, where you basically create a path of creep. I mean, this one is a little bit splotchy. Maybe there's some roadworks going on. He's really going for the true, realistic version of the Autobahn. Hey, Classic, don't step into your storm. What the heck? That's crazy, actually. Triggering the barrier ability there, too, on the Immortal is kind of nuts. All right, let's see. Lambo is going to try and move up, but is this push not a little bit too late? Yeah, the Storms, they may be nerfed a little bit, but they're still so juicy. Storm has been reduced from 110 damage over time to 100. It does not mean, though, that Roaches can just go dancing in the Storm. I don't think that's quite optimal. The creep spread here is kind of sick, though, right? It's gonna move away a little bit, although another OV here is taking its spot. I think Lambo got a little bit too jumpy. A Prism here would be incredible, too, for Classic, who's now just dancing back and forth between the shield batteries and everything else. Keep in mind that he also did lose an Oracle, so that does really reduce the amount of damage you can do. I would love to see some Stasis Wards being thrown down, but Classic is just very busy trying to keep his Archons and Immortals alive. Economies are pretty much dead even here. There is about a 20-ish, or sorry, 40-ish supply difference here. Now it's nearly 50. For the Protoss. So Protoss just has way less stuff. But he's got this defensive positioning, and there's just way more value in these units that he's got. Does he have enough, though? Like, Lambo really is doubling down. I think he's regretting dancing in the storm for that long. Yeah. He should have calmed down a little bit. I think he got tunnel vision. Sometimes when you're feeling like you've got an opportunity, you decide to maybe just dive a little bit too deep. Here we go, though. Lambo once more moves up towards the high ground. Targets one of the Immortals down. Still, though, the Storms are quite spicy. More and more Zealots do indeed get warped in. We do not have Classic doing what most of the Protoss players I've seen play on the PTR do so far, and that is leave these in gateway form until you need them offensively. Classic is just paying the price of 50 minerals and 50 gas for each of those gateways to turn them into warp gates. I don't know if it's optimal, really, but... Ooh, another set of biles, man. Classic is such a... It's weird. I've had this mentioned before about Classic specifically. Classic is really one of the all-time greats, but sometimes, this is especially in 2026 so far, he's making some weird, uncharacteristic errors. I feel like all of the losses on the Oracles in this particular game, for example, could have been prevented. It's messy, but like in a different way than Hero messy. Hero has been an extremely scrappy player. Classic oftentimes just kind of stands there, and in this instance, for example, eats the biles. Not ideal. Slowly, though, Protoss is indeed grabbing themselves a nice little lead, because the 4th Nexus has been snuck out over on the right side of the map. +2 attack is going to be finishing up real soon as well, which is a big power spike. And Lambo is just not really carving much of a path ahead. He's shifting his attention right now, though. He sees probes mining. That's an important little scout with that OV. He sees probes mining over on the right side of the map. He needs to address this sooner rather than later, because otherwise I think that Zerg is just going to be running to their deaths over time. He's still trying to break through, though. He's got so many Ravagers. Spire on the back of this as well for Lambo, so he wants to go into probably like a Mutalisk transition. At this point, obviously, look at this. Another one of those Classic mistakes, man. Like, what is this? What are we doing? Classic, hello! Ah! Actually crazy. Actually insane. I know that there's a lot of balls to juggle, but you know, these are professional jugglers. You would imagine that somebody working in the circus does not drop a ball when they get up to like 5. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how hard it is to juggle 5 balls. Maybe it's not that hard. Anyway, Ravagers going around the side here. Zerglings going in as well. But now the Protoss does just have so many units. Look at the supply difference now. Classic actually getting dangerously close to the Zerg. My main question is, how many Mutas is Lambo planning on building? Because these Ravagers, Roaches, and Zerglings, they are not doing it anymore. +3 attack coming up inside of the Forge as well. That is a very significant power spike here for Protoss once more. Spire is done. +1 flyer attacks also coming up for Lambo. I wonder if Lambo even really wants to go and transition now, though. Yeah, he's going +1 melee, so he is going to. But effectively, this is now Zerg following up this semi-all-in with another semi-all-in. He's just gonna try and double down on the aggression. I think the plan now... Lambo. What? Grabbing a bunch of units for free. Classic sleeping on the job for a moment yet again. Lambo is going to try and save up as many Mutalisks as possible and then suddenly reveal them. Getting the Cybercore is a big deal. Cybercores are actually important here because Classic needs them to warp in Stalkers. There are already a lot of Stalkers out. Well, nearly 40 of them available. That is actually more than enough. But you do really want to be able to, well, maybe warp in a bunch of Stalkers as well in key locations when the Mutalisks do show up. We have a fleet beacon though on the back of this. Cybercore 2.0, very exposed over at the 3rd. But the Muta numbers are growing now. Classic sees an opportunity though, and he is indeed going to try and pounce on it. Where did those Mutalisks go? Apparently they're trying to congregate on the left side of the map. This could work out for Lambo, assuming he can fly them across the map completely unseen, and I think that is indeed what's happening. Yeah, Classic taking a moment to breathe here, maybe get another round of warp-ins going. But that does mean that these Mutas are gonna arrive right now over in the natural expansion, completely unscouted. Lambo, though, has a gigantic Protoss army to deal with at home as well. There are a bunch of Stalkers available here. Okay, he's going after the High Templar. He's just trying to snipe whatever he can. But in the meantime, Classic does not appear to be slowing down at all. He wants to be moving from the Zerg's 4th base that he already killed up towards the natural expansion. This is the mirrored location on the other side of the map, of course, where Classic previously was trying to defend, and now he's breaking open this location. We have Anion Pulse Crystals coming up, 2 additional Stargates as well. Classic is respecting the Mutalisk. He has seen that they have +1 attack. He wants to counter them with Phoenixes, but I don't even really know if he needs it, man. He just has so many units, although he is kind of getting himself stuck inside of the natural expansion of the Zerg player. Drones are soaking up a lot of damage. Stalkers do blink forward. Mutas are still going to town and killing a whole lot of probes. Main base is now evacuated already for Classic. Classic, though, is still getting value here with the Stalkers on the other side. An identical number of workers ends up going down. Mutas try to flip their little flappy wings to the right side here as well as they take down some of the workers over at the 3rd. And somehow, some way, this game is stabilizing. But yeah, this is exactly the problem. Lambo is still stuck on a mid-game army with a smaller worker count, whereas Classic already went up towards a fleet beacon. He would be given so much time to, for example, get a mothership out and to really get the Skytos transition going. Lambo doesn't even have a 4th base anymore, so he decides to rip off the Band-Aid himself, and that means we are going to game number 3. Always kind of funny with a PTR. Both of these players are apparently currently in Diamond League, according to the loading screen. Imagine just casually doing a bit of a ladder game, and you run into a pro gamer. So the way the PTR works is that it's a completely separate server, right? It's just a separate server that Blizzard is running entirely separately from the main game, and they just happen to have another patch on that particular version of the game. So that also means, though, that it's not carrying over any sort of MMR, any sort of rating from the live version of the game. So, yeah, you might accidentally run into some pros if you do decide to do some ranking up. Usually the StarCraft 2 system does take, like, maybe 20 to 50 games or so before it's really stable, before it's really accurately ranking your games. So early on, you may just be running into some problems here with the players maybe not being entirely accurately represented in the latter games. But anyways, Lambo is scouting whether or not there's some sort of shenanigans going on here. No probe, indeed, has moved across the map this time around, so he's gonna be allowed to just take his own natural expansion. Okay. Interestingly enough, by the way, I feel like in the current live version of the game, we've been seeing way more cheese in this particular matchup. I know a lot of people are talking about how the new patch is supposedly introducing a lot of early game cheese. I feel like at the very least in the games that I've seen so far, it's reducing the amount of cheese. Now, there are still a bunch of big tournaments ongoing on the live version of the game. Like, for example, the RSL and the GSL. I mean, some of it have just wrapped up, but it does mean that some of the absolute top dogs, especially the very cheesy players that I've been highlighting quite a bit in this matchup, like Rogue or, for example, Shin, they're still busy playing live tournaments, meaning that obviously they want to try their absolute best and perform in those. That's one of the tricky things whenever there is a new patch. A lot of the times, the pro gamers, it's not like they don't want to practice on the new PTR, right? But there's a couple of reasons as to why you might not necessarily want to. Well, first off, you're likely still participating in ongoing events that can take several weeks, sometimes even like a month, sometimes even more than that. So why would you really be wasting your practice time? And secondly, you may actually be confusing yourself, right? If you end up playing both patches for a little bit, like say you're splitting your time, the game obviously visually looks identical. I've had that problem in the past myself where I'm thinking, yo, is this... Wait, what am I doing? Is this the live version of the game? Wait, what can I... The live version is so well figured out right now that any sort of confusion is probably just not ideal. So some of the absolute top dogs, we're gonna have to wait a little bit. I did reach out actually to some of the highest ranking players and asked if they had any replays to share. So I asked Cyril a couple of days ago and he was like, nah, I've played a handful of games on the PTR so far, but for me, there's not really any reason to be playing on it just yet. Maybe he has actually played a little bit more, and obviously, if you don't want to share your games, you definitely don't have to, but yeah, it is something to keep in mind. Like, yes, the pro gamers don't mind practicing on it, but also, they don't really want to be practicing on it too hard if there's no tournaments being played on it. Now, obviously, this being a $1,000 tournament, it does mean that the players will be more than likely to give it a shot. May as well, right? It's a Monday night weekly. Couple hours, you may as well win $1,000 buckies. Not a bad idea to maybe put in a bit of practice. But guys like Cyril, guys like Maru, the absolute top dogs in the scene, they generally don't seem to be too impressed by any tournament with less than like maybe 10 grand on the line. Yeah, it's one of the downsides of the players being very financially successful over the years. Like, why bother, you know? It's just $1,000 bucks. What are you gonna do? You're gonna actually have to put... Nah, no. I'm not gonna reveal anything. It's not worth it. Ooh, really quick third Nexus. So this is 4:04, maybe 4:05 on the timing on that third Nexus. That's kind of crazy. So this is a single gate into an Oracle build. We have 2 gateway units out. It's an Adept and then a Stalker. But this is by far the greediest macro build I've seen so far from Protoss on the new patch. So now he's going to be filling up the wall, I think. Yep. This is like a single gate expand on the previous patch, right? Like, we've been seeing it quite a bit lately. So the timing in the live version of the game is about 3:30 or so. Actually, it's a little bit sooner, I think, than that, like 3:25. Anyways, on the third base timing, this is the 8 worker equivalent of exactly that build. Kind of risky, though, because considering you don't get the warp gates done, right? Like, you spend so much time. I feel like this thing has been researching it for ages, man. You spend so much time just trying to get everything going. Second Stargate here for Classic. Okay. Yeah, and I don't mind this here for Zerg at all. It's going to force a re-wall. Stalker ends up going down. Maybe more importantly, though, the Oracles have decided to go back home. 0 kills on them. We're going to advertise Carapace as well. So Lambo is just not stopping. Double Oracle production. Oh, okay. I thought maybe we're going like Phoenixes or maybe even like... Okay. Huh. Supply counts, by the way, dead even here for a while. Pretty interesting. Apparently both players are at a maximum of 84 at the moment. Not common to see that, but anyhow, Lambo will not stop going for these early game roach bushes now. This is a little bit different than what we saw in the previous game, because this is, yeah, not before like roach speed or anything like that is done, right? He's not rushing this upgrade. We're just going into some raw roaches with a bunch of queens to the other side of the map. So how well does Mass Oracle do against this type of build. The queens will have a transfusion, I think, each available by the time that they arrive on the other side. So as long as they're on creep, they're going to be able to put in quite a bit of work. There will be 5 oracles, maybe 7 oracles out. Classic is playing Mass Oracle. Let's see, is Mass Oracle the right call against this? I honestly am not sure. This is a good start right here for Lambo. Here we go, though. The Oracles decide to just go in. They want to engage before the Queens are solidly set up. Nice little bit of juggling, though, by Lambo. We see this all the time from Medivacs and with Prisms, of course, but that is all the Queens gone. Classic jumping the units was 100% the right call. Probes are mineral walking right here through the wall up. We have a couple of the warp gates now switched over. Queens will go for a little bit of worker harassment. Okay. All right, sure, yeah. I guess you guys can transfuse one another. But that was not what Zerg was hoping for with this particular attack at all. That really fell flat on its face, although the Oracles right now are mostly out of energy. Yeah, and that means that the follow-up Zerglings can actually put in quite a bit of work. Classic, I don't know if he deactivated the Pulsar Beam. Wait, did he just make a tremendous error? So real quick, the way that Oracles work is that they can only deal damage after the Pulsar Beam gets activated. But activating the Pulsar Beam costs energy. Meaning that they're like a diesel, you know? Like they need a little bit of a wind-up time before they're actually useful. So if you deactivate the ability, you have to reactivate it again, spend more energy on it. Or alternatively, I guess you can just let it run out naturally. There we go. Energy recharge becomes available once more. I think the base is gonna live. But 19 or now 21 probes did not. Spire, by the way, is done. Mutalisks are really good. Yeah, they're really good against Mass Oracle because Oracles can only hit ground. They are not able to hit air. That's why I guess the Void Rays are kind of sweet. We have a Fleet Beacon on the back of this too. Maybe Classic, if he knows, he should maybe go for some Phoenixes. You end up with a Mass Oracle Void Ray Phoenix army. Kind of weird. 12 mutas now, though, on the production tab. Lambo still does not really have a great eco of his own. Despite killing so many workers on the other side of the map, I'm still not a big fan of his of his total worker count. All right, Void Rays are being spotted. And while Void Rays are not the ideal answer against, this type of build, against Mutalisks, they're still going to be good enough. If you have the numbers, that is, though. And that's the big question, right? Like, there are already so many little Mutalisks out. They can fly away pretty easily. They cannot disengage. Oh, this is good for Lambo. Oh, this is really good for Lambo. Yeah, Mutas have a hard time disengaging from Phoenixes, but against Void Rays, they can chase them down. Oh, I like this. Oracles are going to activate their Pulsar Beams yet again. We have the mass energy regen right there onto the one photon cannon. Mutas have to cycle now around the site. And while this Protoss army looks dangerous, there's really not that much anti-air. Now the Phoenix production indeed does begin. Crisis management, though, from Classic has been pretty dang clean so far in this game. We did already have that Fleet Beacon, so any on Pulse Crystals is coming up. Funky game of StarCraft. Very odd game of StarCraft now. Unexplored territory. I've been using those words quite a bit over the last couple weeks, but it really is true. Miss Micro, though, here by Classic. He should not be sending those Phoenixes within range of the Mutas yet again. Still, though, as long as he defends against them eventually, I don't think it's the end of the world, but he's losing, like, I think he lost like 3 Phoenixes there unnecessarily. No unit in the wall off. No unit in the wall off. That means the Zerglings are invited in as well. Oracles, of course, can very quickly zap those units to death. This Mass Oracle build is funky. That's so many probes dying now. And I guess that's one way for Lambo to get the eco advantage. Just destroy your opponent's mineral lines. Yeah, you don't even have to make workers of your own, although he's doing that as well right now. 11 drones on the back of this. Finally, the macro over at the 4th base will begin for the Zerg. Mostly just treating it as a way to, get some larvae generated so far. Annual Pulse Crystals, though, is done. You can see the little pink LEDs on the right side. Ooh. Pink LEDs on the right and the left side right there of each of these Phoenixes. They indicate that the Phoenixes have their +2 range upgrade done. And that is going to completely shut down Muta builds. Looks like the Queen gets to be lifted off for a little bit. Yeah, Phoenixes can move and shoot at the same time, right? Even though they're not ideal against Corruptors, they're still pretty dang useful. Look at this fight, man. It is just laser beams everywhere we go. Oracles here indeed get, I guess, a bit of a distraction done onto the Corruptors, which now means that the Phoenixes can continue fighting. Phoenixes, though, of course, they're not great against Corruptors, because Corruptors are armored, but in large enough numbers, they still certainly work. This is where having those Void Rays from earlier would be incredibly useful, but you know what? Phoenixes are countering Corruptors, and that now allows Classic to control the skies. Yep, because of it, he's going into now a carrier transition. Bunch of drones are dying too. Spore crawlers are manually controlled right there. Lambo is trying to pop as many of those paper planes as he can. The only deficit here for the Protoss player is that, yes, he is killing a lot of Corruptors, but also the main unit that Protoss is going to be encountering right now with the Phoenixes is Corruptors, and Corruptors also simultaneously counter Tempests and Carriers and the Mothership and all the rest of it. So he's forcing out more Corruptor production, which is coincidentally also exactly what Lambo needs. As a matter of fact, I don't think Lambo really needs anything else. Just literally mass Corruptor is all you really want. More Oracles, by the way, were also produced. We've had 4 Oracles die, 8 Phoenixes, 4 Void Rays. We still have more and more of them available. Oh, well, there's another one biting the dust. +1 armor is going to be done pretty soon. It's now the most well-upgraded Zerg unit. Look at that. All of the flying troops are pretty beefy now. +1/+1 done on them before the +1 for any of the Evo Chamber research. That is something we're lacking on the other side of the map. I think, yeah, Classic really needed to be firing up the +1 air weapons here ASAP. Especially Tempest are incredible. Carriers, or sorry, especially Carriers, are incredible with attack upgrades. They get effectively +16 damage for every single attack upgrade, which is a lot. We have a very aesthetically pleasing line of static defense over here too. Oh, but here go the Corruptors. One of the Tempests, or one of the Carriers rather, immediately takes a lot of damage. We're going into the speed upgrade as well for Void Rays. Usually not a very common upgrade at the pro level, but I think in this instance it does make a lot of sense. Lambo is getting himself some Infestors out. I think Vipers are good, Infestors are also really good. Fungal growth into like a parasitic bomb could be incredible. +2 air weapons is the big upgrade usually that Protoss really try to rush out with a carrier-based build. We have the Mothership added into the mix, additional Stargates as well. This is a full-on Skytools build now. We've had a few ground units. Yeah. Bunch of Stalkers, bunch of Adepts, 2 Zealots, fair enough. But really, for the most part, this is an all Skytools army. So even though Classic, yeah, may usually be in Grandmaster League, in this particular instance, he's in Diamond. And this is a strong Diamond League build as well, man, let me tell you. I have coached many Zerg players over the years, especially struggling against build orders like this. Maybe more viable than ever now, at least if Classic has determined that it's not a terrible thing to go for. I think you could definitely pull it off on the ladder as well if you're indeed a ladder hero, right? You may be able to pull this off anywhere between like 1,000 and then like 7,000 MMR. The Corruptor count is high though. Normally, you'd be kind of worried here as the Zerg for like a mass ground transition, because Corruptors are obviously not able to hit anything on the ground, other than with Caustic Spray. Fungal growth onto the Phoenixes could be kind of sweet as well, but Corruptors are on the other side of the map. No recall available, so they indeed are trying to make their way back. In a weird way, Classic doesn't even really want the Phoenixes anymore, so any sort of valuable trade is good for him. They are now taking up supply to what could probably be into more precious units. The only thing that's kind of missing here for Classic, and that is a big caveat, he really needs to get Psystorm out. Normally, full Skytools is good, but full Skytools with Archons, full Skytools with Storm, that is incredible. It seems to me like Classic is just going for the ultimate F2A move type of army. You know, like we're not really looking at an army composition here that needs to be microed. I guess you gotta activate the Prismatic Alignment, maybe a couple of the other units as well, like the spells on the Mothership, or maybe a couple Stasis Wards, but we really, couple drones here, apparently having a good time. We really are missing spellcasters here for Classic. And that is not what Lambo is skipping out on. He's going into the Ultralisks as well, so the Ultras are really good. at killing ground units. Normally the Ultras with especially full armor upgrades are incredible, actually, at killing ground units. There are no ground units here for Protoss. How weird. Yeah, getting the +3 tonight is also massive, but here we go. Classic is making a shove straight through the middle of the map. He just made a silly number. I totally wasn't going to use a bad word there. He just made a shitload. Yeah, he made a shitload of photon cannons right over here at that base. But the real question is there enough for the Protoss to just go ahead and win? Look at the Ultralisk. Look at the Microbial Shroud. There are no units on the ground, Lambo. It's just pure Skytles. This is the strongest Diamond League strategy I've ever seen. And you know what? Zerg is fully spec'd into countering Skytles with High Templar for support, but none of that is available. Time Warp gets thrown down. Here go the Corruptors, though. They now realize they have free reign of the skies. Did Classic just make a massive error? Why did he not go into any Archons? Why did he not build any High Templar? The Corruptors could just freely kill everything. I'm flabbergasted that we did not just see any form of spellcasting there from Classic at all. This looks like a strategy that we can do with like 100 APM. He's adding on more Stargates. What? There's no way, dude. What? I'm actually a little blown away. This makes no sense. So Archons deal splash damage, right? And against units that clump up like the Corruptors, they're absolutely incredible. I actually think they're an absolute necessity. Oh, a little bit of splash damage dealt there to some of the surrounding structures as well. All of the changelings are now contagious. Ah, we're going Mass Void Ray. Classic. There's no way, Classic. Classic is just going Void Rays now. Void Rays together with a Mothership. He's the prophet of every Diamond League Protoss now, dude. Okay, that's not entirely fair, because I know there's many Protoss players out there that will play a ground-based unit composition too. But this is, let me just say, the vast majority of Protoss players, around like 4K to 5K MMR or so, which happens to be where most people kind of get stuck over the years. This is this is just pure Skytles. I can't believe it. It's a good strategy. I think it's really good up until like mid Grandmaster or so, maybe a little bit below that. But once you go into like the upper half of Grandmaster League, you really do need High Templar for support. And I actually think below that, you really should also be adding in High Templar with Storm and Archons and all the rest of it for support, because it's kind of nuts. Microbial Shroud does, by the way, work on Ultralisks as well when they're attacking structures. So it does indeed reduce the damage taken. Here we go again, though. Parasitic Bomb is incredible. Look at all those Voids. They're stacked up together, so they're maximizing the damage they take from those Vipers. Ultras, in the meantime, just trying their absolute best. Prismatic Alignment is kind of scary, though. A lot of units there actually did take damage from those, from those changelings. But ultimately, because Classic decided to never really transition towards the ultimate death ball, it is Lambo here who sweeps the floor. GG.